when you get to that point. There you go.
Sandra always will call me and like I'm old school. I do it the same way. She, you do that button and push that button and you can make that do that, do that. So now I call her like, how do you do it? You got a trick for this one. So she's gonna show us a couple tricks tonight. Shannon's going to demo these brushes, and then I'm gonna after all that, I'll show some of these brushes, some bonus brushes that might be available to you. I'm not saying that they are, but Shannon's being so nice tonight. Who knows, right?
I'm nice every night.
Well, that's true. Except when you walk into a room at imaging and you got your two Wranglers or at Texas school and you got your sunshades on and you come in like you're like the cartel queen or something.
Oh my goodness.
Literally, I've never worn sunglasses inside like that.
Hey,
the rest is true.
Did I not disclose that I was an embellisher?
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go get some ShanWow sunglasses and pass those out.
Perfect.
Hey, I wouldn't pay good money for that, but I'd take a free pair.
You take a free pair.
All right, how we doing? How many people we got?
15 total.
Oh my God, look at all these people. I know all these people. There's Matt. And, hey, Sabrina. Hey, thanks for signing up, man. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have fun. And I sent you an email today, Facebook group, and we're going to have
I saw a lot of videos, a 3 hours long video that I'm going to have to see.
Oh, yeah, I'm a little overkill. But anyway, it's going to be fun. And so I can't wait to get in there. And I don't know if I can take any more students because of the therapy couches we're going to need to bring in there. Because we're not trying on costumes, or we're not doing this, we're not that. We're grinding Photoshop, and so we're going to get crazy on it. Shannon,
I'm here. I'm just shutting my doors.
Okay, no, I'm just saying. We got about 4 minutes and then we'll get started. I'll just give everybody, I usually give people about 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're at 17 now.
17, that's good. And plus we changed the time of day. And the reason we changed the time is because Queen Bee always has a schedule. We always have to work around. So.
And that's not me. I'm not the Queen Bee.
It's the other Queen Bee.
The other Queen Bee, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Life, I tell you, it's busy.
That's good.
Yeah. It's just life. It's busy. It's not good or bad. It's just busy.
Yeah.
Just busy.
I have come to, my life's crazy all the time. And I have come to, he's not going to give you anything you can't handle.
You live alone. Who makes your life crazy?
I make myself crazy.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
Who actually disclosed that they're crazy in the industry? Nobody but me. Because I own it. I like being crazy.
You got to admit, he does acknowledge it.
I'm not like keep your car crazy. I'm not like a crazy boyfriend crazy. I'm like creative crazy. I take you to places.
It's hard to believe that you would have to mow your yard. Only in Florida is there any grass to mow.
What?
Right now?
When Richard, yes, I mowed my yard today before lunch because it was high and green. And it needed to be
what she's subliminally doing when she tells you all that stuff is that, hey, I'm like almost 20 years older than you, and I can get up and kick your butt every day. That's what she said. That's basically what she's saying.
Now, what she's saying is she lives in an area with warm temperatures that grass still grows.
Yes.
Wow, that sounded like it should have been a documentary or something.
It's not -6 wind chill.
Hey, are you sure you want to get into all this?
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here in my house with my coat and my earmuffs on.
Oh,
I know. And look, I don't have any shoes.
You look all warm, Sandra.
Kenzie, we're supposed to be 50 degrees tonight. We could freeze.
Oh my,
50.
oh my God. We
I have to
barely
keep
hit above
checking my
freezing
chickens
today.
to make sure they're not frozen in their coop, Sandra.
It's 50 degrees. I'm putting an extra blanket on the bed.
It's negative 50 in
When
Nebraska.
It's
so when
50.
it gets down to 50, is that oh shoot, what are those things? Those creatures that fall out of the tree.
Iguanas.
Oh,
That's when the
Thank you.
iguanas start falling.
You can't trust
Well,
anything in Florida. Mm-mm.
no, they do. No, it has to be lower than that.
Okay.
But I have a rage of them around my house.
Oh, goody.
Not iguanas, but those big lizards.
Mhm.
The red upper body and the stripe around, they're everywhere.
Red
And they're,
lizards?
well, they're red, the head part to about a third of their body. And then they have a little stripe, and then the rest of them, I don't know if I have a picture.
I'm
but
going to Google it.
Hey, John.
Florida red lizard.
We just,
Oh,
they
like
are
a gecko
lizards.
or an anole?
Yes.
Are they about this big?
They're, no, they're about 8 inches long.
It's called
They're-
an alligator.
They came from the pool.
It's an
What are they?
alligator.
Is it a red-headed skink?
No, it's not. It's not like skanks that are poisonous. Those are purple here in
It
Florida.
says, Sandra, it says unusual red-headed reptile spreading across South Florida. The red-headed agama.
That's them.
Apparently, they're invasive.
Whatever they're called, they are invasive. The females are brown. The males are, and they're just so pretty when you have one. But as I was mowing today, I looked, and I think they've invaded in my attic.
Oh no.
David says they're not in the attic. They're just in another place where they go through there's a vent that opens that keeps the hot air.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like a
it's an
soffit vent?
exhaust thing.
Yeah, a soffit
And
vent.
we have a wire over it, but I think they've breached it. And so and David was at the back door with a BB gun shooting at lizards today.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yep, we're just going to have more lizards.
Doesn't
and
sound
have
like
all the
fun
kids
for the
over.
lizard.
Apparently, this guy, Sandra, cooks them. So they're
Yeah.
edible. Let him
Yeah,
know.
those are the iguanas that they're catching out of the water part.
The
Yeah.
agamas, the red-headed agama. This guy on
They're
YouTube is
huge.
eating them.
You're traumatizing Shannon.
I'm not. I'm watching you try to get a word in, Richard, and it's cracking.
Well, I
Not
can.
happening.
I
It
mean,
wasn't working.
between them, superstars there. I mean,
Sandra and
I'm
I
not
never get
traumatized.
to talk.
I'm going to have to call Kenzie later and send her some pictures.
I miss Mama Sandra.
I miss my Kenzie too.
all right, let's kick it off. And so, anyways, thanks for coming on. And we're going to just kind of we're going to talk a little bit about imaging and how much fun we had there and what because we all had a good experience there. We had fun. We got to sit around that last night at the bar, and Shannon bought pizza for everybody, and we all got to just hung out.
This at all? Why can't I hear this?
Okay.
I don't know, Adele.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, it was a fun time, and so I'm gonna and then also at the awards, it was a good deal, and congratulations to Amber, Kinsey, and Andrew York, and Rachel Owen, all of them were they were in the hunt there, and then Diana Hanna knocked me out of the final four. I made it to the final 8, and my own student knocked me out. So he said, "You mad?" I said, "No, because that's what she's supposed to do. I mean, if I can train her to, because I've been working with her for a long time. She's so good, and now she's beating me every time. So I guess I better start working harder." But anyways, and then Shannon had a great 2-day class there that really went over well, and I know that Angela Kirkian who was overall that was very, very happy, and she even bragged on me. And Sandra was Sandra.
What?
And then Sandra, she had a great time, and we were at the awards, and both of us got interviewed on live TV. And
Jersey. Oh, that's interesting.
okay, somebody cut
I'm
their.
looking for it, and I don't see it.
Who's that talking?
Mandy, you're not muted.
Mandy.
I just got through my stack today. Yeah,
Mandy.
We got another one.
Yeah, I got
Mandy.
It's good for you.
I hope they don't start talking about real personal stuff.
Yeah.
See if I can get her to mute. There it is.
Okay.
Got her.
All right. So, anyways, and we had Sandra. Sandra was great in the interview during the award ceremony when she read that little deal about AI, and I was like, "Oh hell, it's going to open up now." But it was fun, and so it's a good. That whole awards was really good. It's a different kind of thing, and it's one of those things that where you just roll the dice. Anybody has got a shot, and it's a good thing. So, anyways, and we're gonna let Sandra kick it off. Are you writing notes?
I am to Kenzie. I sent her a picture of the lizard.
Oh my God.
I got you in trouble.
Okay, Shannon, why don't you kick it off before we go?
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't have any pictures to send Kenzie, although I do get to see Kenzie here in just a couple of days. I'll bring my beanies and all the things. Yeah, I'm gonna pack warm.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Daryl. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to share. Oh, you got to give me permission here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Hang on.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Mel.
I do have a button, emergency button. I can reclaim host in case I have a coup or anything.
Emergency button.
I do. It's right here.
I'm not sure why you would need an emergency button. It's kind of like when you go to driver's ed and they have like the brake on the opposite side, on the passenger side.
The mama brake.
The mama
So
brake.
Try it now, Shannon.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Is it letting you do it?
I think so. Can everybody see? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So gosh, where do I even start? So I'm really excited about these brushes that Richard gave me. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a demo using some of these new brushes that he created.
She just goes right into it. She don't even say hi. Just like,
oh, hi, here I am. Well, that's how excited I am. Most of you probably know me anyways. So what do you want me to tell them?
Your name, ma'am? What is your name?
My name is Shannon. It's
Shan, wow.
Shan, wow. Oh my gosh, that is actually the name of the brushes, the Shan Wow collection that Richard created. So I have to say, Richard has been he was working on these brushes for years. He's been telling me he's going to make me my own set of brushes. And days before imaging, he said, "Here's the brushes, go play with them, enjoy them, and have fun and show them to people." And I'm like, okay, going crazy. I wanted to make sure I had them available for everybody in my class to at least go check them out. And so now I actually finally get to demo them. I've since renamed them just a little bit so that I know what I'm looking at. He did a good job of naming them, but there was some that just kind of needed a little bit of massaging. So I'm really excited about these because he included a couple of different brushes that are going to work really well for my fine art portraits. So this is a girl that came to our studio space, and she's, let me minimize that there. She just had this really fun look. And I met her at PetSmart when I was buying flies for my spiders. And so she just worked there. I said, "You have a really cool look. You got to come into the studio." So she did. Very pale complected. But she had really dark features as well. And then I got to talk to her and she told me she had a white husky. So we're going to play with these images just a little bit. And then we might jump over here to this image as well of this old guy that I photographed. Love this one because it has a lot of texture. It's really going to lend itself to all of these different brushes that are in this particular collection. So let's go back over to Tiffany here. So one of the main things that I really like to do for all of my fine art portraits is I'm all about the skin polishing. And one of the things that people ask me about is how I get to that level of, I don't know, smoothness and everything that's in the skin. So I'm going to show you guys that here today, and it's called my brush on frequency separation. So there's two different ways that I like to do frequency separation. There's the traditional frequency separation where you are actually splitting the different frequencies, essentially working with the tone and the texture. And then there's brush on frequency separation where this works really good for people who have they don't really have a whole lot of blemishes on their skin in general. So all of my children's portraits. And then she's got great skin, so I'm not really worried about going in with the traditional frequency separation. So I'm going to show you how to build the brush on frequency separation, and then we'll start diving into some of these brushes. So the brush on frequency separation, we're just going to push Command or Control J to duplicate that layer. And then we're going to change the blending mode to vivid light. And so it's going to start to look a little weird. And then I'm going to push Command or Control I to invert that. And then we're going to do Filter, Other, High Pass. Okay, there we go. So it's going to look something like this. And essentially what we're doing is we're looking for all of those different tones in the skin to kind of look like they're melted together. So I like to take it up to probably about somewhere like this. And so one of the indicators of it being this slider being enough is you're going to start to see like these red weird halos and the zombie eyes and stuff like that. And so you just have to remember that those are there. Now keep in mind this is really to focus on the larger surfaces of skin. So we're not going to be brushing this over the hair, or the eyes, or the eyebrows, or the lips. It's really going to be like the cheeks and the larger surfaces of skin. So, and these are going to change with every photo that you have. It's not always going to be, 43.0. Okay. So I'm going to press OK. And then we're going to do filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And then we're going to adjust this slider until we start to see the detail in that skin come back to the level that we want. Okay. So I think maybe about right there. So keep in mind, you're still going to see the zombie eyes. You're still going to see some weird haloing happening around like the edges of her skin, or the edges of like the details. So like right around her lips, right down here, there's this weird halo. So when you go and you exit out of this, you're going to have to remember that those areas are in place. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Press OK. Okay. So obviously we don't want this applied to the whole image. So we're going to come down here to this box with the black dot in the middle of it. And we're going to push Command or Control I to invert it. Okay. So we created this adjustment to go all over the whole skin. So now we can just go on and just brush it on. So I'm just going to use a regular brush. And in this case, I think I'll just use my pastel smudge. So this is part of the Shanwell brush. This is pastel smudge. You can just use a soft round brush. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to have it all the way at like a high opacity and a high flow. It doesn't matter how heavy you brush this on because it's still going to, we created it specifically for her skin. So it really doesn't matter how heavy you brush this on or how heavy you have the brush. So I had this like epiphany as I was kind of driving and I was thinking about editing this image is every time I do this, normally what I do is I just use the soft round brush. But when you have a textured brush like the one that I'm using, it's less, like I feel like maybe you just see a little bit less of the work lines when you have something that's a little bit more textured and spackled, I guess. And it just seems to work a little bit better as a whole. But again, you can just use the soft round brush. Okay, there we go. That looks really good. Sometimes I'll come down here and I'll do it on other areas of skin. All right, so it looks pretty good. I know you probably can't see all the details that kind of went away, but I'm going to click this off and on so you can kind of see the difference. So it's subtle enough, but she just looks nice and polished and it just looks put together. Okay, so I tend to merge my images quite a bit. So Richard, plug your ears real quick.
I do it too. I
do
just,
you? Well,
I just, I just save. I just do it save as and save that original file, so I can always go back if I need to. Yeah.
I mean, I do have it saved. I do have the original file saved if I need to, but I am going to go ahead and I'm going to merge this down to the base one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to rewind. I'm going to leave that, but I'm going to duplicate a layer just so you can kind of see how everything's going to look at the end. So I'm going to merge that to the duplicate. Okay. Okay, so here are some of the beauty brushes that Richard put in here that I'm really excited about. And one of them is going to be the iris brush. Okay, so you put an iris brush in there for me. I'm going to do a new blank layer, and I'm going to come over here. It's just going to use just a regular white brush of the iris brush. And I'm just going to size that right over her eye. See, was playing with that a little bit. You can go up or down. And then I'm just going to size that right over where it fits on her eye. And I'm just going to stamp that right there. In this case, I'm still at a high opacity. I'm still at a high flow. I'm going to stamp that there. And then I'm going to come over here to her other eyeball and I'm going to stamp that as well. Obviously, this is looking a little bit creepy. So what we need to do is we need to come over here to our layer. For every layer that we have, there's always all of these different things that we can do to our layer up above it. So in this case, we're just going to come over here. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to change the blending mode to soft light, which I love. And so you can see that it's kind of got like an over painting of, the edges are there. And so we're just going to add a masking box to that. We're going to invert it. And now that we know that all of that detail is there in her eyes, we can come in here with a white brush, soft round white brush, and then we can just brush that on where we want it. So I landed at about 60% in opacity. And what's cool about this, now take a look, is you can see that veining in her eyes. That is actually the brush. The brush added that level of detail in her eyes. And so that it's kind of giving that nice highlight or that nice glow. That is actually called the shape light. So when we have our eyes like this, there's the catch lights and we have the shape lights. So the catch light is that light that sits on top of the glassy part of the eyes. And the shape light is actually just directly opposite. It's that light that goes in through the clear part and settles into the iris. So think of it like this. So you have a house, and on the outside of the windows, you have the reflections of whatever's on the outside of the house. And then the shape light is that light that comes through the window and it hits the floor. Okay. So let me back up. So her eyes look, we weren't changing any color or anything like that. We were just enhancing the light that was already in her eyes, just enough to make them stand out and pop a little bit more. All right. So another cool brush that I want to do is, so you can tell that she has just a small amount of freckles, but I want to enhance those a little bit. So where it makes sense on different subjects, I will go ahead and add like different freckles. In this case, I think it makes sense for her to have freckles. Now, if this was a client and they really just didn't have a whole lot of freckles to begin with, I probably wouldn't add it. But because this is an art piece and I have, my own creative liberties, I am going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do a new blank layer. And the reason I'm putting it on a blank layer is so that I have total control over the blending mode and also if I wanted to bring down the opacity. So we got this, this brush. I am working on a tablet and I do have my pressure sensitivity turned on. So if I come in here and I think those are too big. And I think that they're a little bit too cool. So I'm going to change my color to be kind of a slightly warmer orangey tone. Oh, I got people coming in. Okay. I'm here. Well, that's still too big. I'm going to go back lower. Make it smaller. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to change the blending mode and see which one I like here. My associate Jeff just walked in. Say hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Okay. Let's see. Then I just got to pick which one I like. I think I kind of like. think I liked hard light for whatever reason. It's looking good. So then I can always do another layer of that and just slowly build up those freckles the way I'd like. You can make your brush smaller or bigger. I'm going to change the blending mode to hard light again. And there's going to be a different depth of freckles. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down the opacity on those. Any questions on those so far? Richard, do you have anything to add about the brushes and how you created these or why you created them?
He's muted.
He's muted. Uh-oh. Did you mute him?
I did. He was making a little bit of noises and taking you over, so I just went ahead and muted him.
Yeah.
So you're muted, Richard, if you're trying to say anything.
Is he trying? Okay.
I'll hear about it later, Shannon.
You might hear. I'm sure you will. Okay. All right. So we're not going to do a full edit, but I definitely wanted to show you those brushes specifically for this particular image. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to merge those down. I'm going to click those off and on so you can kind of see the difference in just those simple brushes. Merge those together. Whoops, one more. Okay. So just a simple kind of quick edit on that one. We're going to jump over here to, let's go over here to, I want to go on this picture of her because actually somebody today was asking me about editing pets. And I actually really enjoy working with fur. And so what we're going to do is we're going to paint this guy just a little bit. I have to tell you, I will never have a husky. There was so much hair in my studio. There's still so much hair in my studio from just the 2 hours that he was here. There was just hair everywhere. So I will never have a husky, but I will edit one. So I really like the ShanWow Pastel Smudge. It just seems to work really well on things like this. Like we have the fur in here. So I'm going to use a mixer brush. Now, when you're up here with your mixer brush, you can choose how heavy or how light you want that to fall on the, as you're painting. So I'm going to bring down, so right now, let me see. There's the wet. That's actually pretty good. So I'm at a wet of 42%. And you can see it has, a fair amount of drag to it, right? The wet paint is dragging a little bit more. And so Richard and Sandra can explain this so much better than I can. I just use the brushes. They are masters of creating and using these brushes. So they'll probably dive into the mechanics of that a little bit more. But I just know that if I bring down the wet a little bit more, then you can kind of see it's not really doing much. It just has far less slip to it. So it really is going to kind of depend on the type of animal that you're working with, or even like your subject's hair, your human subjects. So I liked it at about 42%. Now I am on a blank layer as I paint. However, I have this little box up here and it's checked off and it says sample all layers. So as I go around here, it is sampling all the layers below it and it's picking up that paint, and you can kind of see it represented over here in this thumbnail. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to follow all the shapes, the direction of that the hair is actually going. So as I work my way around, because we're not trying to brush away any light or dark shadows or anything like that. We're just kind of blending in that hair. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up bringing down the opacity on that layer so it doesn't look painted. I want it to look painterly and still kind of photorealistic. But as we paint this, it's going to kind of take off of that gritty look of the fur. And that's kind of where my fine art style comes into play. So if you ever seen my my lion series, this is kind of how I do that with the hairs.
Yeah, I reclaimed host.
Oh, did you? Oh, do you have something to say?
Well, I'm just, you don't put Papa Bear in the corner.
We were waiting for
Making
that,
too
weren't we?
much noise, dude.
You
Yeah.
don't mute Papa Bear.
We were waiting for that, weren't we, Janelle?
I knew it was coming.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah, she's in the doghouse. Ain't even the Papa Bear house. This is the dog house.
Oh boy. I think Janelle sounds like she's scared.
Yeah, I'm really scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about it is with the brushes, okay, so there's so many things that you can do with these brushes, and there's so many different styles. Like Sandra and I were talking about this yesterday and today, and I'm working with Sandra on some brushes, but Sandra's got, she's got a certain way she works and a certain, style that she does. So, I'm going to watch her paint, and really study it and and she's going to tell me, I like this, I like that. And that you can kind of, once you get a feel for what somebody needs, you can kind of dial it in. And instead of just doing random stuff that looks cool, you can precisely do exactly what you need. If she needs a dry brush effect, or if she needs a more wet or more impasto look, or she needs something that does real fine hair. And like with Shannon, she does so many different things. So she needed a brush set that would cover kind of from beauty all the way to like an animal here. And there's some other fur brushes in there. And there's so many brushes that even she hasn't had time to really see what the potential that they can be. But I'm going to show you, because I got a set that I got here that I'm going to give to y'all. Everybody who does, well, anyway, she'll tell you what the deal is. You get it. But I will give a little small pack to everybody who attended. So I'll put a link in here. In just a second, I'll make a link while they're talking, and then I'll put those brushes, and you'll be able to get those brushes for free. But we're also giving one of my sets for Shannon's brushes. If you go to her and buys hers, you get mine free, because I'm like, I'm just cool. I'm nice. What can I say?
It's just cool and nice.
But anyways, as far as the different styles and stuff, Shannon, even though we all do similar things, we all got very different styles. Now, there's some things that are similar, because we've all worked with each other from here and there, or, or studied each other's work or whatever. But brushes are more powerful than you even know. And most people will, they just use it as a stamp, because they don't really know how to control everything. And so in a minute, I'm going to show you what you can do. And it's going to kind of blow your mind just how easy you can manipulate your brushes to, it's just like painting with a regular traditional brush. If I need something that's really gnarly, I'll go cut my bristles, and then I'll rub it across some concrete or something, make it all old and gnarly looking, and then use it, and it gives me the kind of look I want. I mean, sometimes you got to destroy something to make something beautiful. So, in any case, I'm going to hand it back over to Shannon, but I just wanted to say that, and because Sandra's got some stuff, because Sandra's got these little things that, these little quick keys that just aren't normally known that you can do, and she's got the secrets to them, so she'll let her tell you that. But all right, Shannon, you kick back off.
Okay. Okay. So I don't want to sit here and make you guys watch paint dry, so to speak. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring down the opacity on that. So that's painted pretty good for me. But I'm going to bring down the opacity. So, and what that's going to do is you can kind of see his fur. You want to be able to still see the detail of the fur, but I just wanted it to look slightly more polished and fine art, and to where you look at it and you think like, okay, is that a painting? Is it not a painting? It kind of looks like a painting, but it still looks photorealistic. That's my goal when I'm doing these types of portraits for my clients. So that's a kind of about where I land. Now, I could go in, and I tell my classes this all the time. I could easily go in and create my own brushes. But I don't need to, because Richard is so good at creating brushes and the details of the brushes. And I'm going to actually I think I'm going to open up a blank. I think I have one here. Oh, see, this is me playing. Oh, what just happened? There we go. I was playing with them before, because I wanted to familiarize myself with the brushes a little bit more. And so when I went in here, and these brushes are pretty amazing in how he designed them. So I want to go ahead and I want to show you some of these and how they interact with my tablet and my Wacom pen, because they're just really cool. So when he goes in here and he creates these brushes, and he'll probably do a little bit more of this as well. He does this really cool thing where he knows how to go in and change the brush settings. And so all of these settings are built into the brushes. So when I'm going in here and I'm just starting to brush this up, let's go up with our opacity and our flow. I just have a black brush right now. But when you do this, you can see the level of detail that he put into creating these brushes. And so as I'm brushing this, it's creating all of that buildup, and it actually looks like paint is building up on the canvas, which is pretty cool. And so I went through all of these brushes, like I said, just to kind of familiarize myself with them. So let's go back a little bit, and I'm just going to show you some of these other ones that are in here. Just some of like, just different things, different textures. Let me go down to some of these other ones. So these are really cool. So when you think about all of the different things that you can do, obviously it doesn't have to stay black. So many of my brushes are named charcoal, like heavy charcoal or liquid charcoal or whatnot, because Richard designed them for how my artist brain works. And I'm really enjoying working with charcoals right now. So a lot of these relate to that and my artist style with it. But you can see the brush turning and interacting because he created them to have different jitters and different spacing, and then they all kind of go with the shape of wherever my brush is headed. So all the brushes do something similar to that as you kind of walk through them and you start to play with them a little bit. So there's a lot of different really cool brushes. And if you think about how you could build these up, I'm going to show you some of them on this guy right here. Now, he came into the studio and he just had all this awesomeness to him. And so one of the brushes that I named is leather. Which one is it? It's down here. So you'll see them that they say things like ShanWow sketch or ShanWow sketchy details or pencil details, scratchy blender, things like that. So you can use those and kind of go in here. Let me do the scratchy blender. And I am going to, where did it go? So when you go back between the two brushes, between there it is, my scratchy blender. Your mixer brush to your regular brush, sometimes it bounces around and it drives me absolutely insane. Okay, so let's do this. So we have the scratchy blender. I'm going to use it as a mixer brush. And this also works really good on things like this for fur. So you can kind of see it building it up on this guy's fur jacket. And what you'll start to notice too is you're going in here and you're painting your different images. Like right now my artist touch is a lot different than Richard's artist touch. And you're going to start to notice that when he jumps on and he starts doing his demos. Which is kind of cool to see, because even though it's digital, it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else. You will find your flow. You will find how your tablet and your pen interact with the brushes. You'll find your preference of your settings for your brushes, ultimately to kind of create your own style. So look at that. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring down the opacity on that. And then I'm just going to slowly work through it. Now I'm actually going to go in here on his glove. And I need to go find my leather brush. And I think I put it in the paint. I named the folder. I think I named it paint and texture. So let me go get that. Paint and texture. There we go. All right. So leather texture. I'm going to turn this guy off and I'm going to do a new layer. So I did leather texture. I am going to go in here with this just kind of a white brush. And you're going to start to see it build up. So I'm going to bring down my opacity and I'm going to bring down the flow. And then we're going to end up changing the blending mode. But I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to start to blend that in. And you can see those highlights are already there. Let me bring why does that go away? Okay. Knock it off. There we go. I'm going to bring down my flow. And I'm just going to slowly build up in those areas. where those highlights are, because I want to bring out that detail that's in that leather. There's so much texture in this image, and I really want to bring that out without making it look HDR. So I'm just going to brush over those areas, and then I'm going to come in here, and then we're going to end up changing the blending mode. Okay, so see what the soft light did? So you can see it popped those details in the leather. And so now, so if you're doing competition, the judges are going to want to see all that texture. They're going to want to see the details in the darks, and they're going to want to see the details in the lights. And this is just going to help point us in the right direction with that. And then once I have that blending mode changed, I can always come in and bring out just a little bit more, even if I need to. So this works a lot better than if you're just going over something with a heavy brush or a soft round brush. It's just going to add a little bit more detail rather than just going in and being able to see all those work lines. All right. It's looking pretty good. Richard, what else do you want me to show them on this image? Or do you want to take it away and give it to Sandra?
I give it to Sandra better.
Yeah.
And so you'll have to unshare, and then she can share her screen. And
yeah. Unless anybody has any questions.
If you're ready, Sandra, you good?
And if you have questions, just so you know, you're muted, everybody, except Richard.
Are we supposed to be seeing, not
yet.
Everybody saw my screen, yeah?
Yeah, we saw.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, hold on. I'm working on it. Oh. Am I sharing now?
Yes. Looks like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got the little floppy ears.
In case anyone wants to know, that's a great granddaughter. You see her, Richard?
Ain't she cute? The little floppy ears. How long ago was
that?
It's 20, that was 28 years ago, wasn't it?
No, this is my new one.
Oh.
Great grandchild.
This is my new great grandbaby.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm getting old on my hearing.
I'm starting over.
Well, you do it better than the rest of us.
I'm starting over. See, this is what it started as. And my friend Richard always says, why do you take crappy pictures?
I did not
say
say
your
that.
Work from? And
I did not say that.
Yes, you did, but you said the other word. Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
You used to tell me that.
Don't get them on me.
Yes, you did.
You better not get them
on me.
Why?
You're right. I mean, this is a cell phone picture, by the way. It was on Trick or Treat Day for Halloween. And that's Grandmama, me holding her with my arm here. So I take pictures that people have that are really bad, and then I paint them and make them really good. So I was just playing with this one. So we'll start over with it, but I didn't know how far to go. I want to show you, and I know a couple of my students are on here too. When you do get brushes, I want to show you what you do when you get brushes. Let me get this over here. And if they're made for, I need to move y'all back over. Let's see how I can do this. Let's move you over here. Okay, now you can see. Got my brushes here. I set my palette up differently, but I'm right-handed, so I put everything on the right-hand side, and it's bare minimum because I'm a bare minimum person when I work. I do have 3 layers here because I paint this one as the background layer. And so I can just paint all that out. Doesn't really matter. There she is. So I'll start over so you can just get a little bit of what I do. But if you buy Richard's brushes, if you buy Shannon's brushes, and what happens is if they come up and you see when I'm doing this, you can see if you have it set where you have 7 brushes here, the last 7 brushes that you use. If yours is not that way, you click on the little bars up here and it'll show you the brush name, the brush stroke. If you want the tip, you click on it. It'll show you what the tip is. But that's right here. And you show recent brushes. So if you're working on something, you'll have your 7 brushes. The last 7 brushes that you've used will be right here. If you type in and here, and there's a brush that you want, you just type in what it is. Now all the hair brushes I have will show up here. So if you're looking for brushes, I think there's some that says Sturtevant in here too. I know there are. But if you're looking for freckles, let's see if I have any freckle ones in here. It just helps you find your brushes. And I probably don't have any put on this because it's the newer Photoshop. But I have lots of round brushes. There they are. So any brush that you've named, and if you have a little book like I do, if you have very favorite brushes, just write down their names because you may not be able to remember all of them. And just say, this is a mixer brush. Let me show you what it does. It's on the mixer brush. But what if I want to paint with it? And so I go here, and it's on mixer brush. This was made to work either way, but this says mixer brush. So if I am clicked on that brush and I want to paint with it, it's going to do it on here. But if I have one of Richard's moved up, just say that you have it because I don't have it set up right. Here's what you're going to do to make this stay. And I had Richard's brushes pulled up, but time-wise. This is what you do to make any brush do what you want it to do. If you have bought brushes and they say mixer, and every time you try to paint with them, it only mixes. Is everybody understanding? Hopefully. You hold down your option and your command, and you click on what you want it to do. So I want it to do there, and so that's what it'll do. It'll paint. If you want it to do mixer, you hold down that, your mixer brush, and then it'll mix.
And that's for brushes that have been saved with the tool settings as a mixer or
Yes.
a pencil or whatever. So you can
Yes,
you can bypass that command.
You can bypass it. You just click on the brush that you want and you hold down the option or the alt in command. And you don't have to save it as another new brush because, as they say, Lord knows we've got enough brushes in our palettes. And so we have tons of brushes. You don't have to save that brush every time. All you have to do is hold down your option and command or your alt and command if you are a PC and click on tell it what you want it to do. You want that mixer brush to become mine. I've got it fixed that way. And you hold them down and then it'll paint with it. So I'm not going to go into that anymore. Also, another great thing, if you're working on a layer, just like her, you can see she's on a layer here. If I start here and I'm going to mix, let me get on this one, and I'm going to mix this, you see what happens? It just goes every place and you can't keep it in. All you have to do to go to this little Purina square right here, click on it, and then all you do is do this, and it won't go outside your lines. You've locked that particular layer right here, and you can't paint out of it. And so if you're trying to paint something and you want to stay in the line, you lock it right there. And that locks it. Saves you a lot of time. If you've got like a little vine growing there and you just want to paint it, lock it and paint it. You see this ear here. If I were going to paint this, and I just can't do it with turquoise, that just won't work for me. I just can't put it in there, can I? I do have a tablet over here. Y'all see that I'm using my, okay. And I wanted to paint in here. And here I am. I know some of you have done that before, and you're right here, and you keep going out, and you keep going out. All you have to do is go to your Purina square there. That's how you'll remember it. And it says lock. It's just like in that one layer. I can come in and put all that I want, just like this, and never go outside that line.
Only us old
If
people
you
gonna
want to
remember.
add, what?
I said only us old people are gonna remember Purina dog chow.
No, there's still Purina. My son works for Purina.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's still there. Okay, so just say that I want to enlarge some on the there. It's simple. It's clicking on that. Bring this in. Just like this. And what happens is once you lock it back, that becomes part of it. So you can add things. If I want to add here and make this ear a little bit longer, I'll come just like this, add that on, lock it back. And this will help you so much, save so much time. And if you've been in my class, you know this. If you haven't been in my class, then you don't know. I mean, you don't know it from me.
Unfortunately, you're full at Texas school.
And
where are you?
I am.
Yeah.
I am full.
I think Shannon has to.
There's a waiting.
But I got the therapy.
There's a waiting list.
Couches coming in too, so that's going to cause a problem because I'm going to have a
there's a waiting list.
On-site therapist for the Photoshop class. I mean, I'm gonna hurt people.
So I have a waiting list, and people always cancel out or whatever, or they have problems and can't come. Now, I when I use the mixer brush, and if I wanted to shadow here, I'm going to show you. I do it differently. Shannon and Richard both, and see, I'm just basing in color here. And when I paint, I also leave the area here because I know there's going to be a shadow there. See this? There's going to be a shadow there.
Are you sharing
there's
your
going to be
screen?
some of this little white.
Sandra, are you sharing your screen? We lost your screen.
I was told I was.
I can see it.
Oh, is it? What?
Yeah, I can see it.
Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess I could.
Can you not, Richard?
Richard, swipe over.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. I hit the wrong button. I'm old. Just leave me alone.
Okay. It scared me that I'd shown them all this stuff and they couldn't see it.
No, we've seen it. We've been watching it.
I have just basic pink on here. And of course, as I said, this is just, I have a background on it now. And this is just for the colors to show you. I'm not trying to do a great painting, but if I wanted to paint on something, I wanted it to be something I loved. And so happens to be her. And so what I do is I'm going to change this color up a little bit, bring it down up a little bit lighter, bring it in here. I am painting with a soft round because I know that it's what it's going to do. And when I'm demonstrating, I didn't get to work with my brushes as much as what I wanted to, so I didn't feel comfortable. I told Richard doing, but I have some too. I guess I'll have to do another Zoom with Richard. And so I'm just painting in basically, mine will not look like it does. But what I do is right now I'm on 100, just to give you a. Now, what I do is I know, and I'm going to make a bigger brush here. When I'm using my mixer brush, there is no texture right now on here. I don't really want a lot of texture in the rabbit ears. If I do, I'll come back in and do. But what I do is I do not work here at all. I don't work with any, and I told Richard when we were talking today, I don't work here. I work with my brushes. And so here's my brush, soft round. I work here. It's the same things as here. If you'll look, they're all the same. You've got identical. The difference is I paint more than I photograph. I photograph what I'm going to paint, but I've been painting, should we say, over 50 years. How does that grab you? I'm going to pick up the color here. So I want to get a shadow here. So same way you do. I'm going to go here to multiply, just like you do here. And I'm painting right on her, but I usually paint on an empty layer. So I want to multiply. I certainly don't want to do it at 100. You saw the color that it made. So I'm going to come down here. It's at 12. I'm going to pick up the color here, and I'm going to multiply that color that I have here. And if it's more than I want, I'm going to pump that up a little bit. And the reason it's not covering the little crack there is because I have the lock on. See the difference? It didn't paint that in, so it didn't know to do. So I'm going to put in my shadow just like this. And then I'm going to go to my mixer brush. Here it is. I'm going to go to that one. I'm on, just checking. And when you're working with your mixer brush, everybody will have a different feel. So you just sort of have to play with it and see what works for you. I know that the wet part makes a big difference when you're doing. But what I'm doing right now, and I'm going to light this back so I don't go outside. What I'm doing right now is I'm mixing with multiply, just like Richard and Shannon do with their layers. And I am painting right on my image. But I do have a bird I'm working on. I do it on an empty layer. And that way, if you mess up, you can come back. I actually use an eraser. You're not supposed to. I've been told that by many teachers when I first started, that I couldn't use an eraser. But my students do. So if I want it to be a deeper shadow, I wanted that pink to be here, just like this. So it is the same thing that Shannon's doing. She's just doing it with the whole layer, and then she lowers the opacity. So it's the same type thing that I'm doing. I just do it all with brushes instead of the layers. So I would bring this in here. And I'd have to come back with the light color here. And as I said, I'm not trying to make you a finished product here. This will be thrown away. But I've got the light in there. I can bring this right around on her little face here. and I can pull up some of this color in here. Now see, if you're on an empty layer and you do this, you can come right in and erase it off if it gets on the face. But I teach a lot differently than when I'm doing it just here. But I can pull some of that dark color right in to give her shadow. And I'm not looking to see if anybody has a question. Janelle, if there's any questions, I can answer them as I go.
We got any questions, Janelle?
No, I'm not seeing any.
Okay.
You're doing good.
But that's how I'll bring in the shadow here. And I just wanted to show you the lock and stuff. I'm going to do a little bit on the skin. I don't do, I'm totally different than the other one. I don't do frequency separation at all. It's beautiful. And I have great respect for you that do. I'm just sort of a whole different ball game. Right now, I have a soft round brush because I have the others, but I'm just going to show you this because it's working right now. And I'll turn this off and on to show you. If I want sharpness, I go into my smudge tool. Now, I don't know how many of you use your smudge tool, but if you'll look at the top, if you can see it, my smudge tool is like on 80. Most of the time, it is set on 50, and people don't realize that it's not ever going to work on 50. The reason it's not is because we usually use the smudge tool very for detail. That's what I tell my people. It's for detail. And detail, you have to have a smaller brush. So you have to pump it right up. Now I'm pulling, and ever since I upgraded my Photoshop, I've had a problem with my smudge tool. Right now, I'm going to do that. I took that off because with sample all layers, it makes it work too hard. And I want a sharp edge there. And then if I come back in and do sample all layers, it'll go back. See, it doesn't work as well. So I'm going to go to my mixer brush. I've had a problem with that ever since I upgraded. And I know all you understand about the upgrading. I used to look forward to it when it was once a year. And now that it's every other day, I don't look forward to it because it creates a problem. Now, I have this thing about dirty. Janelle will tell you about dirty digital paintings. And Richard and Shannon's aren't. If you've ever looked at people that have done digital painting, see, this would drive me crazy in here, this gray tone. I don't like it. I just think that it makes it look dirty. I think her face in here, and that's because it's digital. Digital has dirt. Richard, you have to stop me when you get ready.
Oh, you're fine. You do your thing.
I'm gonna show you what I talk about with I'm gonna do this so you can see. Okay. If I have my brush here and I click on here, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Do you see the color tone? It's in gray tones. I picked it up off the child right here. Look at it here. It's in gray tones. We want it in pretty tones. All right, look at this. That's in a pretty tone because there's light there, but digital tends to be gray toned. And so if you look here, what are we going to do to fix this? I'm going to come in here, and she naturally has an orange cast to her skin, but I want it a little bit pinker because she is a little girl, a child. So I'm going to come in here. I go back up here. I go to my color. Why color? Because color's transparent. You can paint over anything, and I'm going to do so you can see anything, and you can still see through it. I never use color at 100%. I'm going to back it back down to 21 and see what that does. You're fixing to see a flesh. Look at the flesh. I'm doing a little bit extra so you can see. And I know I have a lot of orange in it, but this is color. Now, if I pick up this pink tone here, I can see that it'll be a little bit different. If you're getting too much color, bring it back down. So here you go. You're going to get rid of that dirty color. It's actually orange, or more orange than I want, but you can get rid of this. See the pink color that I found? Look at this pretty pink color that'll come in. Digital in the shadows is brown. I can show you all day long. It is brown tones. It's dirty. You have to, you see the difference in the color that I did. There it is. Let me get it going. There it is. That's the original. Here's with the peachy color added into it. It's all done with color because you cannot cover anything up with it. You can paint this whole thing this way, and color just adds color. So if you're doing retouching and you have someone that came in a blue shirt, everybody else had on yellow shirts, and you need to make it yellow, but you don't want to paint the rest of them. So what do? You go into color and you color that shirt. But how do you make, now that I've done color, color's never going to be dark. Never, ever going to be dark because it'll just keep coloring. But, and you can't paint black. You can't paint the dark colors. So if you go in here, you got to stay out of here. You go in the color box. Here's what happens. Okay, just so you see. Let me do it more than 12. This is what happens if you use color and dark tones. If you use white, you can't do it with white. See what happens? Turns it gray. And so you can't use black and white. When it says color, it's telling you color. So this little box right here is your color. You get close to this, you risk it going a gray tone on you. But see, I have added color to her there. Look at the difference in the skin tone. Of course, this is a cell phone picture in my kitchen. But look at the pretty color here. Now, if I want to lighten that, I pick up the color. And whereas you can go in here and lighten everything, if I come here and I go to screen and I bring this all the way down to 10, and that's still more than I want. So I'm going to come in and lower this, maybe 6. That's the amount of paint I have on my brush. Okay, now then we're working. I want to lighten there. So anything I want to lighten it doesn't matter if I don't get it exactly right. I'm going to do like this just so you can see. I go right back into my mixer brush. And I go in little small circles. And I want to keep shadows in there, but I want a prettier tone than what she had. Okay, I've probably been doing long enough, Richard.
You're fine.
I know, but you need to, and
oh, I'm fast. I mean, not to mean you're not fast. See, this is how I get in trouble. I open my mouth.
What? No, you're not in trouble. You're paranoid. That's there's a difference. So
Let me say this.
This is how I do with that. And to shape the face, you have specular highlights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the tip of the nose. So, anybody want to ask anything? Okay. And that's what I do in my class is we do an animal with fur, and I have some of Richard's fur brushes too. I remember one year, remember Richard, I sent them all over to you. He said, I don't know what happened, but everybody's buying my fur brushes. I said, I sent them over. But
How old is the
that's how I
grandbaby?
do for my, what?
How old is the grandbaby?
She just turned a year old February.
Oh.
The 6th, I think. I've got way too many to keep up with. But she's the 1st of February. And her mama's birthday is today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. But see, it looks much better when you do the background on it, which I do with the mixer brush. I do in 3 stages normally. I always keep my original just in case I need body parts. I'm going to tell you this and I'm going to quit. Just think, and this is good to tell Richard because he used to want me to make more layers. So this is what happens. Just say that I'm painting on this eye and I totally messed the whole thing up. What are you going to do now? You're going to come down here and you're going to turn these 2 off and you're going to go right here and you're going to take your little lasso tool, if it's on here. It's hiding. My lasso tool, I'm going to do just like this. And I'm going to make a copy. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it right there. And there it is. All I have to do is come in. I have to do this before. And I'll erase a little of this. I'm on the wrong deal. Okay. I'm sure this has got a point on it. It's acting like it. But I just erase it, fill in the color. That's what I do. So.
All righty. I'm ready whenever you are.
I'll let you share now.
Okay.
But I am going to paint this one because I love her look on her face on here.
It's your granddaughter. Okay. So you unshare.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's number 4, great grandchild.
I got my second one on the way.
I know.
So I'm gonna go ahead and share now.
I just real quick, I'll have to jump off in about, I don't know, like 20, 30 minutes or so.
I'll be done by then.
I'll put a link to both the embellishments class and also the brushes in the chat.
Okay. So what I'm about to show you, I apologize in advance. You're going to have this overwhelming feeling of creative bliss come out of your pores of your skin, and you're going to get excited. You're going to want to take your clothes off or go outside in the cold and run around because this is so exciting what I'm about to show you. And I'm only going to use 3 layers.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You all right?
Don't talk smack to Papa Bear. Anyway, so I'm going to show you about brushes, and I got some brushes that I'm going to give you all a little set of brushes. We'll put have Shannon. We'll get everybody's got is on this list. Can we do a Dropbox so I can just put that in there so I don't have to send them anything? So they can just go get it. I'm talking to you, Shannon.
Oh, you want me to just go get yeah, I can set up a Dropbox, but
Yeah, I'm
How
gonna
many?
put for everybody that attended the Zoom. I'm gonna put a little set together of 5 brushes that are really cool, and then for your set that you're doing that you're breaking out, I'm gonna demonstrate a set that I'm adding to yours for this one time. So
Okay. Janelle, can you get everybody's names and will you guys type your emails into the chat? I think that'd probably be the best way. Or, oh, I guess,
Like the best because their emails don't show up on the list.
yeah,
all right, here. Well, all right. Before we leave, we'll set up a Dropbox and get up there. We'll get to them. Anyways, brushes. People, I've always throughout my whole career, I've realized that people just don't really realize the power of brushes. Most of the time, they have brushes, and then people go, "Oh, I got brushes," and I've got 25 folders of brushes. I mean, but do you use them all the time? Most of them are stamps that you buy, and stamps are great for certain things, but you actually need a brush that actually has movement that can replicate real life brush textures and techniques and sponges and real life textures and grunt textures. Also with hair, you could paint hair. I remember in Colorado when I did my demo up there, I was doing my wildlife brushes and I just painted the mane on this lion and it blew people away. And I'm going to show you the same thing on this zebra that this is just the copy I used to print from, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do with the zebra. But before I do that, I'm going to show you a little bit about brushes. Now, on your brush panel up here, when you go to your brushes, you're going to have all your brushes loaded up here, and you can break them down in folders. They used to not have that. Remember the day, Sandra, when we had to try to organize, and we were using third-party plugins and
yeah.
So one thing I want to tell you right off the bat before you ever get started, and this is for anybody, if you create a brush in Photoshop, okay, you're going to create that brush and you go, oh, that's really cool. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to save and I'm going to go new brush preset, right? Now I have an option. When if I put these settings on there, it will keep all of my settings and I can even capture the size of the brush in here. And it will work for any type of painting, erasing, pencil, sponge brush, whatever. It'll work for anything. History brush. However, if you include the tool settings and also include the color, when you hit OK, that makes it a pencil brush. And I mean, it's just not a pencil brush, but it's a brush. It can only be used for brushing unless you do what Sandra said, where you go up to your little deal up here and you hold your, it's the option command or
Option command or alt command.
okay.
Hold those two down.
Yeah.
And click on what you want it to do.
And so right now, watch, if I go to mixer brush and I go to that, it takes me back to paintbrush. So what I do is come up here, hit that, go to that brush, and then go to mixer.
Hold down your two and go to brush. Go to whatever you want it to do.
Yeah, well, it's not letting me do it now.
Yeah, it will. You want it to be mixer or brush?
I want to be a mixer.
It is.
Yeah, but now if I go on, it goes back to brush. So hold the option.
No, it stayed on mixer there. Now hold the two down and click on your mixer brush.
Oh, okay. See, it worked. All right.
Yes, it does work.
Okay. All right. Anyways.
Now it's mixing.
But you can, you have a choice. Like if you have some settings and what happens is when you get up here into your mixer settings and I'll talk about mixer before I go into other brushes. These mixer settings up here, the wet is how, slick, how fast it moves. And it's got this wet look to it. Load is the amount of paint or color that you're going to have through there. Mix is actually your color that you would add to your mixer brush. Now you have to always remember that with mixture, and I got a mixer here. I'm going to add some color. I'm going to add red, and I got mix at 100% right now. Everything's at 100%. I got sample all layers. Now, if you're going to paint, you can either paint on the layer like Sandra does, or you can paint on a blank layer. And if you paint on a blank layer, you have to check sampled layers. Now, here's the good and the bad of that. If you develop a lot of layers like I do, and you sample all layers, that's going to kill you. So you have to come up with techniques. If you do work with a lot of layers and you want to paint in between those, you have to put those in folders and keep them organized. And then you can turn those folders off. You can do a merge visible and then turn your folder off. And and then you can just paint. And I'll show that when I'm doing this in just a second. Then you can just paint and use it on that one layer. And so that saves you a lot of time, because if you have all those layers, and like I've had 2,500 layers, and it's measuring every one of those if I kept them on, and you don't want to do that. Now I like to save my brushes without any. Every once in a while, I'll save them as a mixer, a brush, or whatever for a certain technique or whatever, or a certain setting that I want. That's just so I can make sure I don't ever lose that. However, most of the time, if you just keep your brushes open and don't save them with the tool settings, you'll be able to use them for anything. And see, like these brushes here, I can make this brush do anything I want to. So let's look here. This is, now there's also, if I can't use this as a mixer brush and I don't know how to do the other deal, you can always save it as a new preset and just turn the tool settings off and just save that and give it a new name. And there you go. Now I go to mixer. You can do that. So you just got, you can go either way with that. There's always different ways to go about it. Now, up here, I wanted to explain this about it. This little brush right here, which got the arrow going up, that's your color. So if you turn that off, you won't have any color. This right here is basically cleans the brush after every stroke. Well, you don't have any color, so what is it cleaning? It's basically like a clone brush and a smudge tool combined. It's smudging that and cloning it at the same time. And whatever the brush texture has actually takes on that texture of that brush. Now, the wet, again, I said is your speed as far as the wetness goes, load, the amount of color, mix. Well, this is a load of paint. This is how much color you can have. 100 is 0%, 0 is 100%. And flow is basically how fast the brush will move, but it also kind of gives you a little bit of a transparent look as well, almost like a dry brush look. When you take these settings, flow and wet down, you can dry your brush out a lot. If it's a real smeary brush, by bringing it to that lower setting, you can bring it down and blend it, especially like if you're doing skin tones and you want to use a texture. Maybe you got an older person that's got a lot of good texture, but you don't want it to look really smooth. You could go through and, take these settings down, and you can even add texture to your brush as well to kind of add and match what you're working with. Now, as far as the different types of brushes, you can get so beat up with brushes, it's not even funny. I mean, you look at how many I got. These are just all the ones I've designed in the last week. Okay. I get in these modes where I have an epiphany and I got all these ideas. And so what I did, what you're seeing right here with Shannon's brushes and the set brushes Sandra and I are working on together to get her dialed in, and my new brushes that are coming out, I did something different this time. I basically created real world brushes out of steel wool, out of flowers, out of stems, out of broomsticks, and string, and everything. I made all these brushes, and I've only got through about 6 pages of them so far, and I did probably 30 pages of this stuff, and some of them will look like that. I haven't photographed these yet, and some of these. Now, the reason I did this is because this is truly organic, and will truly represent brush textures more accurately in Photoshop. That's why these brushes were all designed. I've done brushes all these years, not designed visually, and you can do some good brushes, but there's something about the organic texture of the actual natural brushes that you use that you can, basically photograph. I just photographed those with my iPhone, and then took them and then made my brushes out of that. And then once you get a brush, it's a stamp brush. When you make it, it just stamps. It takes the shape on it, but then you can go in and make magic with it. I'll show you the different types of looks you want. Now, this is an image here. This was in the World Cup this year, and it's in the finals. I don't know what place it's got yet. We'll know in March, I guess. But it's also in the finals at Icon, and and also I have the other one I got, which was the Angels of Tony Corbell, Mandy Corbell, and her daughter Caitlin, and we did that, and that's in the finals at Icon, and it was also in the World Cup here. So anyway, saying all that, these aren't eligible to win at Icon because I'm sponsoring a category there, so I pulled my right to win away so that there wasn't a conflict of interest. But anyway, I wanted to show this image because I developed a lot of technique in this image to create this kind of look. And this is a whole series that I'm working on, basically, that comes down to spiritual warfare. And so I named it Never Defeated for Imaging USA because I didn't have my final title yet. But when I went to Icon, I retitled it, and it was called Soul Fight. And this was actually shot at Texas School in our class last year. This is a boxing ring that I made miniature size, and we photographed it in the class. And this is Robin Keeley, who actually photographed for this. And at some point you'll go see the behind the scenes of that because we filmed it all. And I really got her really mad. I was taunting her while I was photographing her to get that anger out of her that I wanted. And this was in part too by talking to her and talking about some of the stuff that she's been through and personally in her life and some of the spiritual warfare that she's encountered and some of the doubts that we all have. And sometimes we feel defeated, but we can never be defeated. We have to keep moving forward. And this is about, she's getting beat up and, she's fixing to take on Satan and she's got all this against her, but she's got something that Satan doesn't have. She's got God and she'll never be defeated. And her soul will never be conquered because she's got God with her. And that all this is kind of basically is a symbol for heavenly, the doves, and then of course the little feather here, like, hey, we're coming. And then you got the shadow of the actual Satan, and this is actual. I got these wings off a little dragon in the dollar store, and I cut them off, and I put them on this little action figure, and then I photographed the shadow. And so everything in here was photographed. Everything was made by me also. But I want you to, when I look real close, look at some of these. These are some of the brush textures that I made for some of this stuff to create this look. And I just want you to look real close. Each one of these is different. I photographed each and every one of those and then made them all look weird and scary looking. And then, of course, you can see Robin there, and she's got some pretty. And Josh Freed did the makeup for us, and he was really good. It really looked really good in color. But she did a good job, didn't she? But look at the background. Look at how this almost pencil technique that I used on this. It's like in between a black and white photograph and a pencil rendering. And the birds, I even made the birds myself and photographed those. That was a black crow, and I made a wing, and I painted the black crow. It took its wings off and made it white, and then put it together and made these wings. So you can do everything make everything you in the image you want, and you could do it with these brushes. But I wanted to show you how to zoom in on some of that technique. Now let's look at this zebra. Now this zebra is one I used in my granddaughter's image I did for her birthday. It was originally used for a demo that I did back during COVID. A zebra I shot somewhere. I can't remember where I shot that. I think it was at Falso Rim on this one, down in Alvarado, Texas, down there. But anyways, and so I've got a new thing going on, which I was demonstrating at Imaging, which was three-dimensional wall art embellishment, where I actually create three-dimensional structures around this. And this is going to be cut out. This is actually this is going to be floating. It's going to be probably about 6 inches from the wall after the layers when you get on it, but it has a tree in it, actually a real driftwood tree built into it. I'm creating a three-dimensional art, and this is the image that I'm building up with texture gel to have it blend in with it. So I can't wait to show it. And I was trying to have it for Imaging, but it's just too much to get done. But let's just say that we want to paint this portrait of this animal and we just wanted to start it. We don't have anything else. We don't have any reference. We just have the shot that we got. And we took the background. So I'm just going to come over to these brushes and I'm going to make me a background here. All right. And drop it in behind that zebra. Then I'm going to come over here to my paint brushes. And I like to use paint brushes to start with to lay down my color. And I can also use some of the settings in the paint brushes to actually control the color dynamics in there as well and make it almost look like a mixer brush. So anyways, I'm going to come up here, get that brush. I'm going to select a brush and I'm going to go down to this prototype 5 I just did. Let's see. Okay, we'll use that. Let's go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some color here. And I'm going to go with a gray, kind of a, let's go with the gray there. And then here, you go with a pale blue. And then we're going to make our brush bigger. Let me get rid of that. All right, I'm going to come here. And I didn't turn my color dynamics on. So what happens is that each brush has the ability to add color to it, okay? Even if you, more than one color. So let's take a look at this. Let's say if I want to add color to this and I want that blue and gray to blend like a mixer brush, so to say. So I'll come up here to my settings, and these are all the settings that I have programmed into this brush. And this is the preview of what the brush looks like. Any setting that you change will actually change the deal of this. So the depth's at 51. If I take it here, look what happens. It comes a totally different brush. Go there, go to 55. It gets a little bit smoother. You know, sometimes what happens is with paintbrushes, especially with mixer brushes, people always try to go with the outside edge. Well, the outside edge is great. You're going to have that little brush texture, but you've got smooth smeariness in the middle. You have to have brush texture within your brush. So you have to create brushes that are actually transparent, and you can control them to where you can actually build the actual number of you can actually duplicate that and create a whole nother brush in itself. So it's very easy to do fur now. It's very easy to do fur with mixer brush. Once these brushes are all released, you know, Shannon's is the first of them. Sandra's will be, and then I'll release my new ones here. These will blow my old ones away. I mean, really blow them away. That's how good they are. And so anyways, I'm going to bring that to 51. And then I can come over here and go to color dynamics. So I check on color dynamics. Now I got those two colors. I have an option to let the foreground or background jitter, which means that it goes back and forth. I can do 11%, which will be random. I can go up to 100%, which will alternate, just boom, 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 like that. So that's how that works as far as the color goes. Now, the hue jitter is where you're going to actually get your color, you know, all your colors, the range that you get. Saturation jitter, I usually wouldn't touch that. It does all kinds of funky things to the saturation within the actual brush stroke. It could be used. Sometimes I've just never had a use for it. Brightness jitter you will change. If you want to change the actual saturation of the color that you're using painting with, you will control purity. If you go plus, it's going to be more saturated. If you go down, it's going to be more desaturated. So let's go ahead and take a look at that color dynamics. And I'm going to take my hue jitter. It's at 6%. So let's look at these colors. So now I've got this light blue color, and I've got this little gray color here. And it's going to take that color and that blue color, and it's going to get 6% of the color swatches in between that and add to this. So you're going to be able to paint with multiple colors. So let's watch this. So let's go here. Okay. You can paint whatever you want like that. Now you can come over here. Let's say you want more color. All of a sudden, you bring that up. Say you want it more desaturated. You come over here. Now let's just block it in. I'm not saying that's a great brush. So let's just put that stuff in there. There we go. Now, and I don't have to worry about the mixer picking that up or taking a picture of it because I'm using just a regular paintbrush. Now I'm going to go get another brush, and let me go here. And all right, so we're going to open this brush. And again, if you don't have color dynamics programmed into the brush, it's very easy to turn it on. Just turn it on there. You got your hue jitter. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to change these colors. I'm going to change them to like a deep red brown. I go to like a kind of an olive green. All right. So let that, and that's just kind of actually made a good camouflage, didn't it? So anyways, and it can look all crazy like this, you know. So now we're going to go up here and we're going to do another layer. Well, not another layer, but another layer of color. So I'm going to go back to my brushes and I'm going to choose a different brush. And let me go. Just up here to, I'm just going to. All right, so I'm going to turn my color dynamics on again and again. And this, again, you see, this is alternating inside each one of that stroke. If I do a blank layer here and turn that one off, watch what happens. Now, this is a big block. It's very wide, so it's blocking in quite a bit of stuff there. But when you look at it, it changes those colors in there. And if you get real close, you can see the pattern of the texture, but it's so minute you can't even, tell. But all right, so now let me get some bright blue in there. And let's get some. There we go. Go to another brush. And now I'm going to turn color dynamics on again. And I do it repetitively with, like, when you show someone the color dynamics, I do it repetitively so that you get it and that so you'll remember it. And so you see those colors. Now you can hit all that. And you can even take the color up. Brush. Right. And I know I'm making it look horrible on purpose because it's going to be really cool when you see
Make
it.
your picture bigger, Richard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I can't if my brush is still going.
Okay.
Because
it's tiny on our screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. If I painted too much of that.
I know. I knew that you were busy and didn't realize it.
Okay, now you might ask, why do you make your screen small like that? Well, it's the equivalent of being at an easel when an artist is painting. You're painting on this. You have to step back and look at it, and that's why I pull back sometimes. I don't know what's going on with I think my video card's fixing to go crazy. But all right, there we go. So there's that color right there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my zebra, and I'm just going to go and take a blank layer. Now I'm going to paint over the top of that layer. Let me get a little bit more color in here. And again, see the difference in the color? Look how it blended over here. That wasn't even a mixer brush. That's just the color dynamics. So now we come do that. And there we go. See, now you can see the real color. See how many colors are in that now? And so the thing I want you to think about when you're using these type of brushes, people think, oh, it's just a hairbrush. It's just no, it can be almost anything. Any brush can almost paint anything you want. But you can really enhance your clothing by going in and using these brushes to enhance them, and by using Sandra's technique, or you can use Shannon's technique or this technique, and you may use all of them at one time or another, or combine them. Who knows? What you might do. And let me turn that down. And then I'm going to take the purity up a little bit more. And see, you have all that power just there. Now, all right, so you got that just basically looks like somebody had to do community service and take a paint class right there. So anyway, so I'm going to take that blank layer. Now I'm going to get my mixer brush. Now this is where the real magic comes in with the mixer brush. Now everybody does it a little bit differently. As you see, Sandra works on her layer. I work on a layer above. And I have sample layers because I like being able to have the ability to take the transparency down and to be able to work with that. But also with a brush, especially with something like this, you're going to need a brush that actually has texture within inside of it and gives an actual organic style brush. And I'll show you right here. We'll go, I just did these this afternoon. And when all these brushes come out like my other brushes, and you will basically have a sheet that has the stroke on it as a regular brush and as a mixer brush. And probably do one for Shannon's too once she gets through that and post it on her website. And that way you have something, a little reference to look back, because these are a lot of brushes. Anyway, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to make this brush a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to mix, and I'm just doing real small strokes. Now, this is usually a faster brush, but I haven't closed Photoshop, I think, the whole day. I think it's been open all day. And as you can see, you see how that brush texture, I want you to look close. Look at the textures that you're picking up there. And within the brush, even though this is now you're using a mixer, but that wasn't a mixer. That was just a regular paintbrush. Now you got this mixer coming across there with that organic texture on there. It almost looks like a little granite, there. So now it's going to kind of smooth some of this stuff out. And good. I should have closed Photoshop earlier. Come on. There we go. All right, so we're going to get into some of these dry brush effects. And
Richard, I'm going to have to jump out. It's getting busy and loud here in the studio for our meeting.
Okay, well, put that on there, and go. You got did you put the site on there where they need to go to?
Yeah, so I put the embellishment class link in there, as well as a link to the Shanwell brushes. So it's Shannon Squires Creative Academy. You'll find all of that stuff in there.
Is there anything we have to do to get a copy of them, or is that just to buy them?
Well, that's a link to buy, because it's a big set.
Yeah.
Of that. And then we have everybody's emails. You said you grabbed those for us.
I did, yes.
We'll send you some sample brushes, and hopefully you guys got lots of information out of this and just fun learning stuff. So yeah, we appreciate it.
I'll send you the
email.
The emails, Shannon.
I'm almost done, but all right. So now I'm just going to come and I'm going to take this mixer here. I use this SDV Hair 48, and usually when I do a set, if I'm starting off with hairbrushes, I may end up creating all kinds of stuff in there, but I just name them all hair, and then I'll go back and change them depending on what kind of brush they are. But the thing about this right here is that you can do these strokes, and look how you can smooth that out and it goes a lot faster if my Photoshop wasn't so bogged down right now. So I'm going to switch. I'm just going with random brushes right here. And come on. All right. Now, see, you can just come in here and you can hit in certain areas, different brush textures. It's pretty pink, isn't it? And come on, brush. The ones I'm using right now, they have a scatter technique to them, which creates a kind of an alternating effect. And get up here.
Richard, are you running with a scratch disc?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been doing this for 25 years, Kinsey.
Yeah, it's just so bogged down.
Well, that's because I've had it open.
It.
That's because I've had it open all day, and I've just been killing it. And plus,
I just didn't know if it got unplugged or something.
And so now here's another thing. What I'm doing here is because a lot of these brushes are new. I'm just going through and randomly picking things because a lot of times you'll have brushes that work better as a mixer brush and some that work better as an eraser or some that work better as a paintbrush. And so you can kind of still it. See that one, that brush there is a little smooth. It doesn't have as much texture and the way it's doing. So I'm not really big on that. I don't like that. But nope, it won't be a problem. Let me just let it stop there. Oh my God, it's like watching grass grow, isn't it? I picked the wrong brush for that one. I'm glad we could have this moment together. Bill is just watching that string. Oh my God, it's the wrong brush. Stop.
That's the way the smudge tool used to do before the mixer brush. Don't you remember if you got your brush too big with the smudge tool, it would render like this?
It was a love-hate relationship.
That's what exactly it reminds me of. Before the mixer brush, when I painted with the smudge tool.
Well, I picked the wrong brush on that one. There we go.
Yes, you did.
All right, so
there it is.
There it goes. Now this is kind of cool because these brushes right through here, they can give you kind of that impressionist look. You can use both the brush with it and color dynamics, and also you can mix over that. And so you start picking up these textures through there. And now I know that background's ugly right now because I put all that pink in there, but I'm going to go ahead and do the zebra so I can get this, show you what we're doing. That's got a lot of scattering to it, so sometimes it takes a little while with the scattering. But I love that look through there. And really, it doesn't take that long if you're working on this. It's like just because I'm teaching right now or showing, that's why it seems like it's taking so long. But look at this. Look at how that texture is building up through there. Isn't that gorgeous? And there's also kind of a random quality to it when you're doing it this way, which is a lot of times is really cool. You know, because you a lot of times I discovered on some of my best looking techniques were mistakes. Don't you agree, Sandra? I mean, didn't you learn a lot making mistakes and when your brush strokes and stuff like that?
Yes, you do.
All right, so there we go. So we're going to turn the zebra back on. All right, so now there's a zebra. Now what I'm going to do with the zebra is I'm going to blend him into the thing. I'm going to make him part of the background, and I'm going to blend some of the background into him as well. So what I'm going to do is make a copy, Command J, and I'm going to take this copy right here, and I'm going to go Shift Command U, and I'm going to go up here to my image, adjustments, shadow highlights, and I'm going to open that sucker up, and I'm going to the basically what you'll see is that's what yours will do if you've never used shadow highlights. Then you come over here, show more options. It opens up the highlight and adjustments here. Now, what we're going to leave the shadows at 35% when it comes out. It's just a default, so I'm going to leave it at that right now. However, to get that more illustrated look, I need to come down and add mid-tone contrast to it. So I'm going to add the mid-tone and see now I can get that contrast in there, and now I can come up and kind of play with my. Get that up. See, I can play my tone there and highlights. I can bring those down if I want to. And I usually do because I'm going to blend this into the canvas. Now I'm going to hit OK. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to go soft light and blend that into the canvas. Now, I am going to make another copy, Command J, and say you're blending that into the camera, put a mask on here. And then I'm just going to let me get soft around here. Add a new layer. Hit the wrong deal. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to paint away from this side. Just kind of let that fade in. And I'm not really worried about the top here. Now I'm going to turn on my layer here. Now he was in a real warm scene, so I'm gonna kind of add a little bit, blend him into the color a little bit, and I'm gonna take a little bit of that away. So I'm gonna go Command U, and I'm just gonna take the yellows down just a tad. There we go. All right, so now I'll make a copy of that one too. Turn the top one off. Now I got 3 copies. The one on the bottom's in soft light mode. The second one's in soft light mode, but half of it's painted away. So that's what it looked like there. And then we have this one. We're going to take that one. We're going to blend it into it, soft light in color. Then we're going to put a mask on it. And we're going to take that away. Y'all didn't know y'all were going to get full lessons tonight, did you? You thought we were just going to shoot the bull. We're giving y'all some education. All right. So anyways, we got that now. So you see how I'm blending that in and how it's blended into those colors. So now you've got a natural blend that you can play with. So now I'll turn this back on and I'll bring first. Let me see if I need to bring that down a little bit. Yeah, I just brought it down to about 80% just to take a little bit of contrast away. Another thing about contrast, you have to remember that if you go with with a real strong contrast in the beginning, it's only going to block up as you go on. So you want to open your shadows up and then build the contrast as you go. For the way that I work, anyway. So now I'm going to turn that on, and we're going to take the opacity down and let some of that blue come in. Take that. I'm going to put a mask on that. And painting that away. There. Now, and so I really hate that pink down at the bottom, so I'm going to just do something to fix that real quick. And I'm going to take a blank layer here, and I am going to do a gradient. Pull that up. Okay. And just tone that down a little bit. All right. Easy fix. Now, all right, so I'm going to put my guys in my folder. I'm going to keep organized. So here is my 4 blends. I don't want to touch those right now because if I merge, I have to merge that down to the background, and I want to leave the option of being able to turn it on and off if I need to. So anyways, I'm going to put these in a folder. I'm going to highlight all these, and I'm going to call it Command G, and I'm going to call it Zebra. Now, that didn't work out. My brain's going faster than my hands. All right, and then we're going to take this and we're going to put the background. Okay, we're going to go Command G and BG layers. Or BG. Now, so we're going to take that and we got our zebra. So what I'm going to do now, since I mean I can always go back to my layers, but I'm going to actually do a merge visible now. I'm going to go Shift, Option, or Alt on PC, Command E, and it's going to do a merge visible. So here I got these layers here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I got 1, 2, 3. So now I turn those off. Those are just for backups. And then I can do a save as. Now I can turn this, do a layer over the top. If I was painting like Sandra could, I could paint on the directly on that. It's just a different styles, you know. So and probably because I make more mistakes she does. I need layers. So anyway, so now I'm going to take that and I'm going to get on that layer, and I got sample layers up here. I'm going to go get some of my hair brushes, and some of these I'm going to give to y'all. You know, if you buy Shannon's brushes, I'm going to give you a set of those. Here we go. Where did they go? Oh yeah, these are good. Yeah. So first, I'm going to take a paintbrush, and I'm going to come in here, and I am going to sample that color right there. Here. Now, here's and sometimes I've got a little loose here because I like to have a little looser painting. As you can see, that painting in that hair in there. And if I turn that on and off, you can see how that's doing. Now, what I can do, you see how this is blocking up in there because it's just painting in normal mode? You can put that in multiply. You can put it in soft light. You know, soft light's pretty good, and it actually works with this pretty well. So now I'm going to come through here, and I'm just going to kind of get some of that built up before I start doing the mixer brush. Yeah. All right. Now, so where'd my brush go? There we go. So now I'm going to go and choose this white color here. And you can see it's blending right in with that, very natural. You can make the brush smaller. And we can come over here, blend in with the ears. And right here, I can blend in there. And this is all just a regular paintbrush. We ain't got to the mixer yet. That back. And let's work a little bit in here. And sometimes you can make it bigger because it's got that texture in there, and you can shade the whole area and increase your lighting pattern. If we bring that. And so you're actually painting, but you're actually kind of dodging and burning at the same time with color. Now, so we got that. And let me get that there. Now, with white, sometimes it doesn't build up a whole lot when you've got a real transparent brush. And if you need to build up through here, so what I could do is make another layer, and that's in normal mode. You see how that's more substantial? And then I can bring the opacity down of that. Now, come in here and let's get black. Sorry, that color I chose there. And I'm going to take this down to 30% on the opacity and use it as a shader. Now that's in normal mode, so I have to choose a blending mode for it. Up here and kind of blend that in. So here's that color. Now I can take that, go soft light. See, now you get some good little stuff in there. All right, so now, and I could build this up more if I wanted to, but I think we're pretty good. What I'm going to do is, so I got 3 layers right now, and I could change those at any time if I want, but now I'm going to do my mixer layer. So now I'm going to go to my mixer brush, and let's see which one. Something's going on. There it is. Okay. I was looking for a certain brush and there's a, okay, so I found it. All right, so here's my mixer brush. Okay, so now I've got special hair 2, special hair 3. All right, so let's get real close now. I'm going to put everything at 100% all the way across the board. So I've got paint turned off. I've got the clean brush after each load, which enables you to mix. That's turned on. Disregard custom, because anytime you change any settings, it'll automatically go to custom. However, they do have presets in here, and I would encourage you to play with those so you can learn the different, types of textures that you can get from a dry, light, or heavy load, moist, light mix or heavy mix, wet and very wet, and the very wet being the real smeary stuff. Again, so now I'm going to have sample layers checked. I can also use my shape dynamics if I need to, give my brush a taper at the end. But right now we're just going to use this one brush, and this is what it looks like. And this was actually made from, this brush was actually made from real horsehair, actually. Because I had some horsehair in all my stuff, and I went and made a brush out of it. So, and this is real subtle, but I want you to look. Now that's on a blank layer, and remember, I can always control the opacity too. But here I'm putting some pressure on it. Now I got a little deal, but that's okay. So if you get too smeary back there, let's erase it. See, that's the good thing about that. And then you can come back the mixer. Let's go back over. And now, so now we're going to go there. We're going to turn that on and off. So that's what that looks like. And let me get rid of this in here. All right, so now we can bring that opacity down. And what I'm doing by that is I'm creating a softness to these edges that I'm going to build up over and over as I go through here. But now I'm going to go through and I'm going to really work on all the mane and the ears right now, and then I'll do the fur real quick, and then I'll show you one final blend here, and it'll blow you away how easy. You don't have to like the pink, but anyway, so we got that down. Let me take that up again, and let me go in here and do this. Get that kind of softened up a little bit. And a lot of times I work in different amounts of the layers as far as I may soften this up, bring it down to like 40%, just to soften the that harsh texture that I have. And it's a constant evaluation back and forth all the time. You constantly have to be evaluating your technique and your application of the technique. And, and also be willing to say, hey, that's not working, and back away, because sometimes you can go so far you can ruin a paint. and you can't go back. So I'm just smoothing that out. And again, this is all what I call the block it in stage. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to get this, go along that that neck there. There. Get some shadowing in there. Let's move some of this out a little bit. All right, now there's that, and that's in normal mode. But here's the problem when you get with a mixer brush. Once you start mixing stuff and you mix it over an area that you're mixing with that color, you can't change the blending mode at that time. Now, Sandra can paint on the blending mode in the beginning because she paints with a brush and she paints on a layer, and she does, can what do you dodge and burn on that? You paint with color and multiply, right, Sandra? She's still there.
Multiplying screen.
Multiplying screen, yeah. Just like it.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so what we can do here, though, we don't have to be very precise. We can just back that thing away. And I'm going to bring that down to about 70%. And that just soft, maybe a little bit less. Maybe 57 or so. And that just gives me a softness. Now I come over here, do another layer. I lied. I was going to use 3 layers, and I couldn't do it. Sorry.
Huh.
I know you're going to say something.
Thanks, man. I'm proud of you.
Hey, I owned it, didn't I? All right, so now I got my.
Hey, you've got a folder down there with lights in it too. Just because it's in a folder, they're there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now I'm going to take the Special Hero 3, and again, when people say, "What brush did you use?" Well, you could use 100 different types of brushes to do the same type of thing, and some, because everybody has a different way they paint, and they got a different feel. So, just like when you use traditional brushes, everybody uses those different. But now I'm just going to come get that and smooth that out a little bit. Start working, get those eyes built up too. And again, I'm just hitting areas where I think are rough. Just soften them up a little bit. And this is more of a loose technique. Now bring it back, bring it down to about 42. There. Now, here I'm going to. Oh, you want to see a cool brush? Watch this brush. Oh. I'll get it. It'll be on a layer. Isn't that cool? You can actually go in here and build a fur like this. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. So now let me find this other brush here. Here we go. Now, here's where you get into some of this dry brush look here. And we're going to get to a fur one. These are all prototypes. I haven't got them all named properly. There we go. And so those are paint brushes. So I'm doing these so I can see what they look like. And in real time, so I'm going to use that one right there. And I'm going to go to mixer brush. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, so now.
To beat up picture and cheap are women that are.
Hey, y'all turn your volume up. Find out who that is, Janelle, and mute them.
I got it.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm just kind of going in here and I'm doing kind of a random, and this is kind of a smooth brush here. Just trying to get built up. Okay. All right, now. There. Slowly. Now, a lot of times when we're doing demos, we try to go fast. And here's our honesty: when you're painting, you really don't need to go fast because you just slop, right? And a lot of times you go too fast, you get muddy too. And Sandra was talking about that dirty colors, and you don't want your stuff to get muddy. And so a lot of times it's better to be a little bit more, precise in your approach when you're painting, because you can paint. You can get over here and you start getting in the zone, and you think you're just rocking it. Next thing you know, it just looks like your dog did it. And trust me, I made a lot of mistakes like that. So now that right there is going to get that soft, and I'm just going to paint part of the. I'm going to paint here because we're going over a little bit, and get there. Now, even though I got that texture, which I built that up with my paint brushes when I first painted this, but this brush has the brush texture, and I'm going in a direction there, and you see how it's giving that smooth look, but it's also, once I bring the opacity down, but when you look at that texture in there, isn't that cool? And then once it brings down, it's going to mute that down. And this is going to give that more traditional oil paint look that most people kind of look for. And the PPA look that real, I mean, that a lot of people do, it's real messy, and that I don't know that they did for so many years. That's not that's not the way really artists paint. So, right, Sandra?
She had to go.
No, she's
Oh,
still
she's
here,
back.
right?
Okay. So let me do this one other thing. I probably should have done something a little simpler. All right, now I'm going to bring that opacity down to that neck, just in that mane, just to show you what that's going to look like. And then so you could dial that down. And you see, when a lot of times when light hits like a shoulder or whatever, sometimes that can get a little softer because it has less contrast. If the soft light's hitting it, if you got real strong light, it's going to be, really contrasty. But that sometimes in that afternoon light, you get that softness. I mean, Sandra knows all too well. She's been there. But if you pull back, it gives a really nice look. Now, I could finish the rest of this, but it's going to take a little bit to do it. So I'm going to do a final finish on there and kind of show you how to blend this stuff in. And this is all, this is just stuff you could put to use right away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I call my atmospheric blend, which people look at me when they first see it, especially the people who mentor with me one-on-one, they think I'm just crazy as can be. And they're not wrong. However, I know what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to go get my old trusty, you could use almost any brush, but I'm going to get my trusty old, let's see, where'd you go? Let me use my old bristle 3. I like how it blends when I do that. And so now I'm going to take that, and I know it's going to be crazy. You do that, and then you go get a drink or a cup of coffee or drive to Starbucks. It won't take that long. But what we're doing is we're mixing a layer that's all just mushed together. Then we're going to blur that layer. Now, the reason we're doing that is because atmosphere picks up the color of its surroundings. So if you ever see smoke, you ever see fog, you look real close. If it's like at night and it's a fire, the fire is orange, meaning the smoke is orange. So if you're, out, in Africa on the Sahara, and they got a dust storm coming, it's going to be a little bit softer, but within that cloud of that dust, you're going to see all these different colors because it's going to reflect the areas around it. So by doing that, my theory sound in this is that I'm reflecting the colors that are around it. Now, and you think, well, why would you want to do that? Because it's all about blending. And I'll tell you, that's why in this year, my Photoshop class in Texas school, I'm opening up a can of whoop like I never have before, because that's where most people have the problem. They can get almost to that point, but they can't take it over the top. And that's what we're going to help you do. And so now we got that. We'll go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm going to blur that probably about, 600 pixels. Take that down. Now we're going to bring that, and we're just going to pull that down just a little bit. Now that softens everything around there, kind of gives a little bit of atmosphere, a little blend there. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to make a merge visible. We're going to go Shift Option Command E, and that's going to merge that image. And I'm going to take these paint layers and I'm going to put them in that merge one. I'm going to put them in their own folder and call it layers. Okay, so you want to keep yourself organized so that you can always go back in case you need to change something. Now we've got a merge visible layer. What we want to do is we're going to go back through Camera Raw plugin, and we're going to actually add some stuff, because here's something you need to remember. All this brush texture you love so much, when it outputs, it's losing 15% of that texture. When it outputs the canvas, it's losing another 10 to 15% of that texture. So you have to sharpen it and get it ready for that output on the printing. And your final output will be different versus fine art paper versus canvas. So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to make a copy of that, Command J. So now I got 2 copies of those. I'm going to go up to my filter, Camera Raw filter, and open that up. Yeah, my computer's back. Oh, that's not good. What happened there? That was weird. Okay, so I'm on Camera Raw filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the exposure down a little bit. I'm going to take the contrast up. Highlights up. I'm going to put a tiny bit of shadow detail. Whites, I'm going to pop just a little bit. And blacks just down a little. Now my color, I can take it anywhere I want if I want to, but I think I'll leave it there. But I think I'm going to bring the saturation down just a little, or vibrance down just a little bit, just to minimize that magenta there. Now effects, here's where you can add more effects. Even though we've done so much of this artwork, this is the very reason why I have you, when you convert your raw file, it's very important that you keep that open. You keep all those darks open, and because you're going to be putting artwork and layers and textures and paint on top of that. So you need to make sure they're wide open before you start building them up. Now, even though this is not already finished painting here, I mean, it's already looking pretty good. So now we'll go to our clarity, and what I'm going to do, clarity is like mid-tone contrast. So I'm going to pop it up. Now, if sometimes when I take the clarity up, it may block up my shadows, then I will bounce back to shadows up in light and actually open those shadows up again. So now I'm going to take clarity up about 24. Now I'm going to look at my image, and this is where I'm going to actually add texture. I've got pretty good texture, right? But I'm going to add a little bit more right here. And look at that texture that just popped out of there. Now that's going to help me. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to get real close on that. Now, all right, so we got that. Now, here's another thing you can do. So here's a little trick when you're painting, okay, when you're using a mixer brush. If you can use the same style of painting on your photo retouching as you do on your paint work. It's just that you stop at a certain, so if you do it, you can actually paint over, um, man, my brain just went blank. Oh my God. Sandra, what was I saying? uh, oh, I'm sorry, the grain. So if I want it to stay like a painting, I'm going to sharpen the texture and I'm going to leave it like that. But if I want to take it more to the photograph area, or I need to blend all this in that so it has a total final finish all the way across, you can add grain. So let's go 100%. Well, maybe not 100%. Let's go 33%. And then we're going to add grain. So if we look here, there's a lot of texture here, but there's paint texture, but there's no grain. But if I take my grain up, say at about, I can go 15 to 20. And then all of a sudden you're getting that grain in there and it starts really kind of blending everything in together. And the grain actually helps when it outputs the canvas as well. And but when you do it on a face, you instead of having that paint texture, you add the grain to it. It almost looks like skin texture. So it works out very well. So now, one more thing, hit OK. I just did those little, pop it up. So let's look at the difference. There's before, before I took that contrast down, and now I got all that texture back. And now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to make a copy, Command J. Now, this copy is just a backup. This is the new contrast. And then this one is the copy. So we're going to take that. We're going to go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we're going to go down to 16 pixels. Okay, 16.2 is fine. Hit OK. Now, I'm going to put a mask on that, and I'm going to make a copy of it. So now I got two blurred layers at 16 pixels. So I'm going to take the top, the bottom layer, and I am going to put that at 10%. Okay. Now, I just sharpened this thing, and now I'm softening it a little bit. Sometimes when you're going through that process, you'll sharpen, soften, and it helps give you a nice total blend to this stuff. Now, so if we look at this, see, it's just very subtle, and I'll paint away in the areas that I want it to stay, like in the eyes and any textured areas that I may want to keep. Now, I'm going to take this one that's at 10%. I'm going to turn this one on, and it's at 100%, and I'm going to put it in soft light mode. And you can see it's kind of really oversaturated. But I'm going to bring that down anywhere from a range from 20% up to 35%. So I'm going to take it down to about 35 and start there and see where we're at. And now it's still a little bit too dark. So we're going to bring it down to probably 20%. Now, and it's all basically a personal touch. So you turn that on and off and see how it gives that a little extra punch. Plus, all of that technique helps blend all that in together to make it look like one piece. Now, and I mean, I could finish this out and it'd be good. I'll probably change this pink though. But and you can, it's a lot of fun, and it's just comforting to know that you have the tools to be able to do this stuff. And and sometimes people will get into the habit of using the same brush over and over and over, but not every subject, not every project will use the same brush. You need different brushes to choose from, because sometimes you may paint more, image may need more texture. I mean, just look at all this beautiful stuff that kind of built up through there, and that was just nothing, just playing around. But that's the kind of look that you can get, and you could take this and now you print it and then you embellish it. And so that's what we did, like, at our embellishing class. We'll take this and we'll actually put brush strokes on there. And I've got this new gel that I've been using, and it really builds up thick, and it dries faster than the Premier Eco Elegance as well. But it's called Z Gel, and so it textures pretty good. Anyways, but you can build up big colors on here. Also with that gel, you can actually take it and take you a trowel, like you would put, drywall spackling on with or whatever, and take that and put that gel on there, paint the gel on there, and then take that trowel and go across, and you can mimic the texture in those brush strokes, so it starts picking those up. And then once you get all that done, you might, seal it and do a wash over it, and it'll pick up some of that texture, it'll shade some of that texture, and it just looks freaking unbelievably crazy. And like this will be really, really textured. And so I'll be posting some stuff from Imaging USA this weekend. I just hadn't had time to go through and all the videos because I had a videographer there as well. So anyways, if anybody's got any questions, let me get out of this. And anybody got any questions or Janelle?
I'm not seeing anything in chat.
Are they all dead?
Just
When are the
says-
brushes going to be available for people to purchase?
Okay,
That's a good
so
question, Kenzie.
right now, if you go to Shannon's site, okay, and she's got her brushes on there, you get those brushes, and then she is going to send you a link as soon as you buy those brushes to get the brushes that I'm going to give you, and it's going to be this kind of a set. Oh, my battery's running down. It's going to be a mixture of all of these sets, some of the brushes, but it'll probably be like from here on up, right here.
Well, and I've gotten everybody's email address that have
Oh,
been
okay.
in the chat.
Yeah. And so here's the deal, just so you know. The big brush pack that you're going to get, that's if you go buy Shannon's brushes, and then you get that as a bonus, okay, to help Shannon's out there. And all of you are going to get one of my best, a pack of 5 of some of my favorite brushes, so that you can get in there and work with them and really get a feel for them too. But the brushes that you're going to get when you buy Shannon's are only going to be available, this one time when you buy it. I think she'll have it for the weekend or so, whatever. And then in the future, you won't get that. And then I'll be coming out with I'm not releasing my brushes till probably next week, because I don't want to affect anybody else's stuff. So anyways, but I got a lot of cool stuff, and I got to record a lot of videos in here, because I've got brushes also for I got natural hair brushes, like for human hair, and I even got like afro hair. I got curly hair, I got nappy hair, I got fine hair, thick hair, I got any kind of hair you want. And so that's how I live vicariously. They don't have enough hair, so I just make hair. But anyways, and then I've got texture brushes that are just nuts. Just crazy. Like, you can paint textures on anything. You can almost paint a whole scene with them. And they just work really nice. And I can't wait till Sandra gets to try some of these too. She works a little different way than Shannon does, and then I work a little different way than both of them do. So as you can see, they can apply to all the things that you do. However, at the look on Shannon's site for the brushes. Look on her Facebook page, Sandra's Facebook page, my Facebook page. This weekend we'll have probably we're all posting some stuff. And in our embellishing class in October that we're going to have, I would highly encourage that. There's several people in here now that was a part of that class. It was pretty moving. And we had one lady there that she never drew because her sister was an artist, and they, kind of, how siblings are, and she never picked up because she didn't think she would be an artist, and she was better than I was. And she's 70 years old and never picked up a pencil, draw, and she did it for the first time in my class, and it was like crazy good. It's nuts. So you never know. You don't know that you're not an artist. People think, oh, I couldn't do that. You don't know that. And you're never going to be ready. So remember that. So if you're ever saying, I'm going to wait and I'm going to get ready for that, you're never going to be ready. And if you're going to try to get ready for my class, trust me, you will never be ready for me in class, because I'm not, I get, especially on this Photoshop class, we're going to go really deep into it. We're talking about theory, and it's going to be done. So Sunday night is our first official deal. Sabrina, you got here just in time, because this is going to be really crazy good on Sunday. All right, Sandra, you got anything else to say?
No, thank you for having me.
I'm sorry for keeping you up so late. But anyways, if anybody's got any questions,
Hey, Richard, this is
yes,
Bill. Are we going to be able to get a copy of this video so we can?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm gonna, as soon as this video comes out, I'm gonna post it on my page, and I'm gonna post it in the Texas School page as well, and then Shannon will post it on her pages, okay, so that you can have that. And that's the reason I wanted to put this out is like, what we showed. Here's the thing: we can show you those techniques, but until you really understand the why and the how and the and how we apply those, I mean, we can. We can show you that and get that helps you get kind of little introduction. Like Sandra was saying, her class, like I just had somebody sign up with me and they took her class and they said, her class really helped me to really get a good understanding of that. And, Sandra
Bill's had my class.
Yeah.
Bill's had my class.
Yeah.
A couple of times, hadn't you, Bill?
But
yes, and I've loved it every time and learned something every time too, because she changes it just a little bit so that you always learn something. So it's great.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun, isn't it? All right, so anybody got any questions? If not, we're gonna go because I've kept you about 30 minutes over. There's 40 messages.
Did everybody get an opportunity to put your email into the chat?
Yes.
Okay, just so everybody's clear, if you purchase Shannon's brushes, you get my prototype brushes
as part of it.
And that will be she will post whoever buys them, she'll send a link to, and they will go download those. Now, Janelle's got all your emails that attended this, and we're going to send you a link to a set of 5 brushes that are really, really cool. And that way you can get a sample and kind of play around with them and see what you think about them. And eventually you'll get in and start playing around with your own brushes, and the more you get it. But, brushes, I've been working with them for years, 20-something years. And only in the last couple of years have I really, truly understood them, and really got, to understand what they were capable of and what they could do. And the more you get into it, the more vast it gets. They can do almost anything you want. And especially if you create organic textures to capture and then create a brush out of it, makes it even more real. So, all right, we're going to let you go, and thank y'all for attending. And, we had a good time at imaging, and the competition was good. We had fun seeing all our friends. And that's all I say about, Sandra and I were saying, we are members of PPA, or you go to WPPI, or, the thing about it is those are organizations, and those are organizations that we get our benefits from, and we, get the structure from. But the true PPA is the people that are in it. It's like our tribe. It's our family. And it's like we get excited when we get to go to the convention because I get to be around people who get me, because if I'm at a Christmas party with a bunch of attorneys, I'm pretty bored. You know what I'm saying? And because they don't care about what I'm doing. So anyways, but y'all have a good time, and look at the
thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much for attending. This was a pretty surprise. We had a lot of people in here. That's good. And we're gonna I'm trying to get Sandra to the embellishing class. If I can talk her and David to come out there, because that'll be fun with her in there. And this lady right here with real paintbrushes, she can do anything in the world. She can paint anything. She can draw anything. It's just nuts. I mean, she truth be known, she's probably more talented than I am. So, and I'm not bad. All right, Mama Bear. And I'll see y'all later.
I'm leaving.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I'll put this up as soon as it exports. It'll probably take about 30 minutes for it to export, and I'll post it, okay? All right, y'all.
Really appreciate it.
All right, y'all be good.
I made you host, Richard.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.